Good morning, people, and welcome back to another episode of Cruising Off Duty. As you know from the last episode, I anchored in Breaky Bay, and I am still here. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. I'll pop out. You will probably hear the wind on the microphone because it, again, is a very breezy day. It's calling for 14 knots to 20 knots, and I'm going to be close hauled. It's going to be pretty much exactly where I'm trying to head. As usual, I have no luck with wind. It's either no wind when I want to sail or it's right on my nose. So, I'm going to be sailing close hauled all the way back. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to stow everything because, as you know, getting close hauled, I'm gonna be heeled way over and everything's gonna go flying around inside my boat, which is never fun. So I gotta make sure I've got everything stowed this time. I'm gonna probably end up having to tack like crazy to get back too. So that'll add some time to my trip. I'm gonna meet Janice for just after dinner, so I might leave by noon just to give myself plenty of time to get back there. And if I get back there early, I'll do some boat chores because, as you know, when you own a boat, there's always something that needs work. So, give you a quick pan, and then we will head off after I have breakfast and stow things. Beautiful, beautiful day. All that coming up after this intro. Hi, we are Craig and Janice, and welcome to Cruising Off Duty. We love to travel and to see the world, and in the future, we plan to do that full time. That's right, we're going to sell everything, buy a catamaran, and sail around the world. And just to reinforce that plan, I went on a 3-week transatlantic sailing passage on this catamaran and loved it. So as many of you know, we film a series every year where we go to the Annapolis Sailboat Show and we do the pros and cons of various catamarans that are there, and we sort of rank the boats as to what we would buy if we were buying today. But sadly, we're probably a few years away from that big purchase, so for now we're sailing our 35-foot Beneteau around the Thousand Islands, and it is breathtaking. Oh, there's plenty of YouTube channels that'll take you all over the Caribbean, but we're probably the only channel that's going to show you this world-class cruising ground right in the mouth of the Great Lakes, in between Canada and the United States. So hopefully you want to come along with us as we go cruising. And if you're all about the Caribbean, who knows, maybe somebody else will ask me to sail their sailboat in some tropical place. No, seriously. So I would go again. I work for free. I don't eat much. I'll sleep on the floor. I'm easy to get along with. I've got salt water in my veins. Hello. Now I'm waiting for my tea to boil over there, eating my oh so nutritious all bran, I think it's called Bran First cereal with some blueberries in it. I'm trying my best, so is Janice, to eat healthy. I don't know if you've heard from other episodes where I am cutting out meat. I hate to say I'm vegan because that has such a negative stereotype. And it's not because it's medical reasons or religious reasons or I think animal cruelty. I mean, those are all good, valuable reasons, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. I just read some books, and since cutting out meat and a bunch of the other like unnecessary sugars and carbs, I've lost about 25 pounds and I feel a lot better. So for morning breakfast, I usually have oatmeal with blueberries, but since I can't really easily make oatmeal on my boat, I'm having all bran. Yummy. And I'm hooked up to my laptop here with my hotspot, commenting to you guys on YouTube from the last videos I've been posting. As you know, well, I got the iMac on the boat, but iMac uses a lot more power, and if I'm just going to do emails and things like that, I'll use my laptop. But my iMac is definitely the way to go if I have to edit. And I've proven I can actually edit on the boat as long as it's not pouring rain. There's enough solar power coming in that I can actually edit with that big ass 27-inch 5K screen. It's awesome. So anyways, going to respond to a few comments, get this boat ship shape since there's stuff all over the place that needs to be stowed, and we'd be on our way. Talk to you in a bit. All right, green tea is done. As you can see, it is steeping hot, so I'm gonna let that sit for a bit so I don't burn my lips. Green tea is definitely my drink of choice. It's healthy, and also it gives me that caffeine kick I need. I find I get super jittery if I have coffee, so I steer clear of coffee in most cases, unless I have no other choice. I just want to comment about the comments, if that makes any sense. I really appreciate the comments I get on the channel for different things. For one thing, when I say, you know, do you have a suggestion, I really do mean, do you have a suggestion? Put it in the comments, or in this case, a guy named Bob Fox actually sent me an email. In the last episode, I said I've got so many boat chores to do. One of them is I have a Bluetooth true wireless earbud that I think fell under my bed because I heard it something tick 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 under my bed when I was lifting a mattress, and then under my bed is battery compartments, and they're like a mounted thing that's bolted down, and it went under that, whatever it was, and then all of a sudden I was missing my Bluetooth earbud. So by elimination, I just assumed that's what I heard falling under the bed, and I said, oh, I'm gonna have to unbolt all these batteries and take the compartment off to get at it because I can't reach underneath it. And then Bob had this great idea. He says, go buy one of those little snake camera things. There's like different various sizes of a semi-rigid wire, I guess, with a LED lights on the end and a camera. And snake that underneath before you rip apart your whole battery system. Make sure it's under there. I thought, damn, how did I not think of that? So thank you, Bob. And so keep that sort of stuff coming. If you see something on the episode and you think it was noteworthy to say something about it, put it in the comments. I read them all. If you look at the comments below all my videos, I pretty much respond to every single one. And if it's something long-winded or something personal you don't want the whole world to see, send me an email at cruisingoffduty@gmail.com. Clearly I read all those as well. So that's more of a long format thing if you want to write me a book. Sometimes in the comments people write really long things and it's more of a personal dialogue thing and they're sending it to me in the comments. I'll still read it, but it's probably better if you send me an email. So anyways, I appreciate it. That's part of the reason I do these episodes is it's a time capsule for Janice and I to remember all the places we've done and all the things we've done. But a lot of it is just to give back to you guys, other people who are thinking about sailing or who already are sailing and are thinking about getting into the more cruising lifestyle. Because this is certainly not a racing boat. As you can tell by the way it's rigged. I mean, it has in-mast furling, which is not the most efficient way of sailing. And you know, the boat is always filled with so much gear and kit. We bring everything. It's our floating cottage. So if that's the sort of thing you want to get into, maybe you're into dinghy sailing right now or racing and you're thinking, do I want to get a cruising sailboat? That's what this channel's all about. Keep that in mind too. If you ever see me sailing, like when I sail back today, I'm going to be heeled way over, we're going to be close hauled. And sometimes I deliberately don't sail perfectly for the wind angle because I don't particularly like my big floating cottage being heeled over at a 45-degree angle. I'll sometimes either deliberately have the sails out a little looser than they should be so that the boat doesn't heel quite as far. Just because if you, no matter how hard you try to stow everything, if you get your boat where your tow rail's in the water and your boat's at a 45-degree angle, stuff you thought was stowed will still come loose and come flying across your boat and hit the other wall. And Janice hates that when I do that. So yeah, I deliberately sometimes let the sails out a little looser than they should be just to keep the boat from heeling too far. So for any of you racers out there who see the footage and see that my tails aren't perfectly aligned and the sails are a little too loose, don't bother sending me a comment about that. I know I'm not sailing perfectly efficiently. I was a racer before I had my own cruising boat, so I understand I could make my boat go faster. But if I do, you just put a lot of strain on your boat. Not only the stuff flying around inside that could break things, but you're just putting a lot of strain on your rigging, and this boat really isn't designed for racing anyway. So if I can knock down a half knot or a knot of speed but sail comfortably, that is what we're going to do. All right, anyways, keep those comments coming. I read them all. Let's do this. We're ready to go. Okay, on my boat, I don't know if your boat's different. A few steps to get going. First, turn on the instrument panel, which turns on the autopilot and all the instruments as you saw the wheel moving there. Give it a little gas in neutral. Start the engine. The power for the windlass is down beside my bed, so I got to turn that on. What I do is I motor ahead a bit, just to take a little pressure off the windlass having to pull the boat forward on the chain. All right, so move forward. Now let's go. Get that chain up. Okay, now I usually try and rinse it, but since I'm solo, I'm just gonna pull it out. There we go. Now I get back here. I'll rinse it afterwards. And put the boat in motion. The boat is now in gear in very slow speed, the slowest it'll go. While I have the autopilot on, I can go up forward with a bucket and rinse off that anchor that's still dirty and then close the anchor locker. And then we are on our way. Of course, safety first. Once I'm out in the open water, I get that old life jacket on. Then it's time to get out my Genoa. That is by far my biggest sail on this sailboat, gives me the most power. Once I have that sail out, I usually can kill the engine because now I'm moving along at a decent clip, and then I can work on getting out that sometimes temperamental mainsail that gets jammed, at least 50% of the time. There we go. Both sails up. A little bit forward of the beam. I'm going to have to bear it to the left a little bit, so it's going to be even more close hauled in a second. Okay, that's good enough for now. Whoa. bit gusty, occasionally get a little bit more heel than I would like. But yeah, the pinch closer to the wind once I get past the buoy out there, but for now, let's just relax. All right, it's been a beautiful sail on a beautiful day so far. I'm just gonna mention some of the terminology I sometimes use in case you're not a sailor. Close hauled means we're going as close to the wind as the boat can without having, well, you get too close to the wind, the boat will just stop because you can't go directly into the wind. My boat can do about 30 degrees to the wind, and so the closest I can get is an angle of 30 degrees. That's called close hauled. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna have to pinch a bit to get around the bend. And at that point I'll have to decide if I turn on the motor or I try and tack. Now it's a very narrow portion of the river, so tacking in a very narrow portion of the river when there's lots of boats going the other direction, I mean there's just 4 or 5 boats right in front of me right now, and I've been filming them from time to time, but tacking around in small areas is not always good, so I might drop the sails and motor, but so far the wind has been cooperating. I've been able to get that 30-degree minimum angle, and I haven't had to tack once. Okay, herein lies the problem. Not only are we fighting the wind and the current, we're losing about almost 3/4 of a knot to a knot because we're fighting a current going upriver. Now we're in the narrow spot. I don't know if you can see over here, there's land. Over there, there's land. And in between, I got a buoy to get around. So what's gonna happen now is, because I'm gonna eventually need to go that direction, and as you can tell from the wind angle I'm sailing, I really can't go that direction because I'll be right on the nose. So very soon, because I'm getting close to the buoy and the land, I'm going to have to drop the sails and turn on the motor. That takes a little bit of time, so you want to do it before you get to the buoy. So maybe I'll start that now. Now we could just leave the main up and do what's called motor sailing, where I'll kind of pinch the wind even more. We'll see how it goes. Okay, for now, the wind is just a little bit off to the port side, so I can keep the main up and get a half knot of extra speed by doing this. The main can pinch the wind a little bit closer than my big Genoa can. So, yeah, it had to come down or I couldn't pinch any further. Yeah, so motor sail for a while. And I have to turn a little bit more to port when I get around the bend here, in which case even the main probably won't be able to stay on. I'll have to either take it down and motor the rest of the way or start tacking with the side. It has to be a wide enough body of water for me to make it worthwhile, otherwise you're going to be tacking like 50 times to make 100 yards of progress. Remember, there's a current. Okay, there's an upside and a downside to motoring or motor sailing in this instance. Motoring is way less dramatic. You're nice and flat, you know, you can step downstairs, you got an autopilot like I do, you can step downstairs and grab a quick something from the fridge, a drink or whatever, come back. When you're sailing close hauled and you're heeled way over, I mean everything's sliding around inside your boat, you feel a little, like you really got to watch when you're close hauled, because if the wind shifts even 10-15 degrees towards your nose and you're not up there to change the angle on your autopilot, now you can be what's called in irons, where the wind is right in the front of your boat and your boat will literally just come to a stop and all your sails will luff. So, oh by the way, there's the buoy I was talking about. Motoring, you got a little bit more peace of mind. Your autopilot will keep you on a heading. You can zip downstairs, grab something, come back. Very short zip downstairs, take my word for it. But I mean, yeah, you can kind of sit back, chill, listen to a podcast, don't have to do much. The downside is you got to listen to the stupid engine the whole time. You know, this constant going non-stop, and Not in this case because I'm going into the wind, so the breeze is going that way. But if it's coming from behind you, especially from your starboard side, my exhaust pipe's over here. And occasionally you'll kind of get the waft of burning diesel smell. You know, nothing too obnoxious, but you just gotta every once in a while go, what was that? And then you realize, oh, it's your exhaust. So you don't like the smell, you don't like the sound, you don't like, and it vibrates. I don't know if it's doing it on the camera, but I've noticed when I try and set my cameras on tripods on the boat when my engine's running, the whole camera jiggles. So anyways, we'll see when I see the footage if it's doing that right now. But yeah, it makes zooming at things like on the shore far away almost impossible because the camera's doing this, and when you're on the zoom lens, everything's magnified, so then the whole thing looks like jello, so I can't really film very well when I've got the engine going. So anyways, just some things to think about. There's pros and cons. Oh, another pro that Janice likes about having the motor running is right now, because the motor is going, the heat exchanger is taking the heat from the engine and running it around our hot water heat tank and heating up the water. So that if we were at anchorage after we've been motoring for at least half an hour, we have enough hot water for both of us to have a shower, which is a godsend. Neither one of us likes to go more than one day. I haven't had a shower today, and that's why I have this curly floppy-doo hair. But yeah, I don't mind missing one day of showering, but when you start to get 2, 3, 4, oh my god, don't even mention it. So that's why it's nice to run the engine. Sometimes you run the engine to get somewhere even when you could have sailed, because it's about half an hour away and you say, oh, that'll give us hot water when we get there. So yeah, pros and cons, right? Pros and cons. Anyways, I'm on the right heading to head home, but unfortunately it is dead center on the nose. In fact, I should probably just take the mainsail down because it's not probably helping me much at this point. So let's take that down now. As you can see from the arrow on the top of my boat, we're going dead into the wind. And so now my sail is not really doing much to help me. So I just also wanted to confirm that that's what my my instrument panel is telling me the same. Sometimes they get out of whack. The arrow on the top is mechanical and this is electronic, and sometimes they don't always jive. But right now they do, which means everything is set up right. It's a tiny bit to my port side, so there's a little bit of air going on my sail. I could bear away just a tiny bit, maybe 5-10 degrees, and that should help. Maybe I'll do that for now. So the autopilot, 10 degrees, boop. And now let's see how this goes. Still not much. Still not quite good enough. All right, let's go another 10. That should definitely be enough. But now we're definitely not heading in the direction that I want to go. So if you look down there, there's 2 little islands. I have to go to the left of that. So I can get a little bit of distance by motor sailing this way, and then when I finally have to pinch, I'll take down the sail. That'll be the plan. Okay, I totally understand when sailors are sailing dead into the wind like I'm doing now, why they would use their sailboat as a motorboat. But I've never understood this. I always scratch my head. You tell me if you're the same. I'm going dead into the wind. This guy's going pretty much dead downwind. He has sails. Why aren't you using them? I don't get it. Why burn gas? Stop it! Okay, the wind is cooperating just a little bit on this last little stretch before I get into Portsmouth Harbor, which is my home port. So let's throw the Genoa back up one more time. Okay, there we go. Whew. Pretty good workout there. Okay, so yeah, sailing, great day. Had a great time. Weather couldn't be better. Got my sunscreen on, hopefully I didn't get myself burned because there has not been a cloud in the sky today. And yeah. Whew. So the last thing we have to do before we call this a final trip is dock. And that's the only thing that when you're solo and it's windy like today, it's been up to 24 knots I saw. Docking in a windy day alone can be a bit challenging, to say the least, because you got to turn into your dock spot and pretty much hit it perfect. And in this case, the wind will be blowing me off my dock, which is kind of sucky, but you know, it is what it is. So you have to get real close, because when you jump off, there's nobody else to save you. You got to get close enough to jump off the dock, grab your lines, and tie the boat before it drifts away from the dock. So, yeah, obviously I don't know how this is going to turn out, you'll see it when I experience it in not too distant future. So hopefully it all goes well. But yeah, if it's a calm day, docking is not an issue for me. It's only when the wind is heavy and it's blowing me off my dock. If it was blowing me on my dock, it'd be easy. Just pull right up, slow down to almost a dead stop and let it blow you onto the dock. So yeah, let's hope it goes well. Okay, we are moving, but it's time to take the sails down because I still have to put my fenders on and we're getting pretty close to my club. So now another workout. Take those sails down. Okay, workout. Success. Like I say, I don't find sailing solo is really that scary, except for docking. The only time I get a little like, is if it's windy and I'm trying to bring the boat in, but as you can see, I did a pretty good job. Pretty good job. Whew. A lot of that winching and grabbing and pulling. Now that I'm on the dock, I think that's time for a beverage. Yes. Got my rum and root beer. Really should be rum and Coke, but we don't have any Coke on the boat. So I gotta do the next best thing. But I just wanted to say, so my Navionics, the nice thing about having Navionics is that it gives you your stats for that. So that was almost 3 hours, 2 hours and 55 minutes, average speed of 4.7 knots. It's not a bad speed, not a bad average speed, but then again, it was really windy. And yeah, top speed was 7 knots. So yeah, I did faster speeds going that way the day before, but fighting the current too. Gotta remember that's actual GPS, speed over ground. So 7 knots being my top speed. Through the water I was going faster than that, probably 3/4 of a knot faster than that. So yeah, not bad. Anyways, I know you're probably looking around going, Craig, it's still sunny and beautiful. What are you doing at the dock? Well, Janice is here tonight, coming in after dinner, and I gotta get everything ready. I didn't bring the dinghy. I gotta bail that out because it's been raining. I gotta fill the water tanks. One tank's empty, the other one's probably half empty. I have to shower because I look like crap and my love of my life is coming. I don't want her to see me like this, even though all of you get to see me like this. But yeah, got a bunch of stuff to do to get prepared for what will be a 2-week vacation we're going together. We're gonna be all over the Thousand Islands, bunch of different towns, bunch of different islands anchored by, and it should make for some good episodes. So that is officially the end of this episode. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of us cruising around the Thousand Islands. Until next time, this is Craig signing off. Wishing you safe cruising. You may not have heard, Cruising Off Duty now has a free app on the Apple and Android store. You can follow us along on YouTube, hit our Facebook page, hit our email, all sorts of things from this app. So definitely worth a download. And a special shout out to our patrons that make this channel possible. You guys rock. Until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you safe cruising.